Summer. The days are long and hot. But us Aussies stick it out for those warm, balmy nights. Which for motorsport fans means one thing. Speedway. The sound of bugs zapping and tinnies cracking gives way to the growl of a 410 cubic inch V8 monster. With its wings blurring and fat tyres kicking up dust and mud, it's the unmistakable music and mould of a sprint car. Yep, sprint cars are back. And so too is Australia's premier Speedway series, ENZED World Series Sprintcars. But before you go thinking, this is all very familiar, stop. You're wrong. This season, things are different. There's been a change. And this change has a face in 23-year-old star James McFadden. Currently the hottest thing in Aussie sprint cars, McFadden's uncompromising style and raw speed has brought about an end to the reign of Speedway's recent greats. And in a year when World Series was celebrating its 25th anniversary, it was the fresh-faced Territorian turned Queenslander who took the title. You see, Speedway's a generational thing, and McFadden, who's a second-generation racer himself, leads Speedway's next gen, Gen Y. Kids who by day are barely off their P-plates, but by night have no qualms in wrestling with 850 horsepower. Mixing swagger with stagger, they bring more than just youthful energy. They're risk takers, not afraid to go for an impossible move or to run within inches of the concrete, fully aware of the consequences of getting it wrong. Mix them in with some of Australia's more experienced peddlers and some big names too from the States, and we have a tough field ready to battle with the local stars that want to protect their home turf. It's a new era for ENZED World Series Sprint Cars, presented by Hog's Breath Cafe, and it all starts here in Adelaide. A revised calendar sees a later start to the season that will now be all run and done in just 2 hectic months. Hi everyone and welcome to Adelaide, where we're here for round 1 of ENZED World Series Sprint Cars, presented by Hog's Breath Cafe. My name's Chad Nailon, and alongside me, it's Speedway's favourite daughter, Bryony Ingerson. Bryony, you're back, and this isn't just the first round of World Series, it's also the start of Speed Week.
Yeah, Chad, over the last 10 years, Speed Week has grown to become one of the most highly anticipated events on the calendar for sprint car fans around the country. Over the next 7 nights, there'll be 5 nights of racing, making it one of the toughest road trips almost in the sport worldwide. And of course, there's not only the honour of being crowned World Series Speed Week champion, there's also a total prize pool of over $100,000 on the line.
There's definitely plenty to play for here in Adelaide. While Bryony and I will be covering everything in front of the camera, let's check in with our commentary team with Wade Ornger and Jack Perkins.
Thank you, Bryony and Chad. Well, here we are, can you believe it, on the eve of a brand new World Series Sprint Car season. And joining me in commentary this year, Jack Perkins, a man who is, well, you're the best sprint car nut, Jack, aren't you?
Yeah, Wade, I love this oval track racing. Great to be here as part of the World Series program. Can't wait to bring all the action on speed, and let's get going. Great racing.
Now, a lot of new stars, a lot of new names, but I think some real talent's going to emerge this year. A good chance for these newcomers to step up and grab some World Series glory.
Yeah, it is. It's going to be great. They've got a new tyre this year. It's going to be great to watch the previous champion here, James McFadden. Great young guns racing, always great racing, and we're really looking forward to kicking the season off tonight in Adelaide.
As usual, it's a frantic season ahead. We go to plenty of places. Let's get after it right now and head back to Bryony and Chad.
Thanks, Wade. Well, Speedway, just like any other form of motorsport, has that all-important thing called qualifying. And here in the ENZED World Series, the drivers have just 2 precious laps to get it right, and it's there that we're going to kick it all off. ENZED World Series Sprint Cars is all about making the show. But what is the show, and how do you make it? Well, the show is slang for the final race of the night, known as the feature race, or the A-Main. Only 20 drivers get a starring role in the show, and to get there, they'll need to impress in the earlier auditions. The format is designed to offer the fans maximum entertainment, ensuring that the cars are frequently on the track. It can change slightly depending if it's a 1 or 2 night show, and it can be quite complex. But there are a few key numbers that should help you understand how the night works. My first key number is 3. This is because the night is split into 3 segments: qualifying, heat racing, and finals. The points that are awarded for qualifying and heats determine where you end up in the finals. Qualifying, also referred to as time trials, is up first. And just like F1 or V8 supercars, it carries great importance. My key number here is 2, as this is how many time laps the drivers get. The title of quick time is given to whoever is fastest, and they also get enough points to nearly guarantee a spot in the show. Then it's the heats. My number here is 10, as this is the grid spot where the fastest qualifiers start, with next fastest in 9th and so on. If you're really slow in qualifying, you start off the back. Winning a heat race doesn't pay that many points, so ideally, you want to be fast in qualifying, then pass lots of cars in the 2 heats to maximise your points tally. So with qualifying and heats completed, it's finals time. The top 14 point scorers of the night go straight to the A main, with the top 8 having a timed shootout to sort out the starting grid. 15 through to 30 go to the B main, and anyone below 30th go to a C main. Finishing at the front of the field will see you progress to the next race. 2 drivers transfer from the C to the B, and 6 transfer from the B to the A. And so after all this, we end up with our magic 20, who are ready to slog it out in the A main, with 250 championship points on offer for whoever is number 1. The format lends itself to exciting racing all night, as every car you pass is another point towards your end of season total. If you want to be a main character in the show, you have to be fast as soon as you roll out of your trailer. Because if you're not quick in qualifying and passing cars in the heats, by the time the show starts, you could be just another audience member.
And so it's time for a look at Revolution Race Gear qualifying right now, and highlights thereof. It's very critical what marble you draw in terms of what order you come out, because the track can change so much. When you've got over 30 cars qualifying on this racetrack, in the heat of the day, track changes immeasurably. Trevor Green, superb. 13.121. He won the feature race at Warrnambool just recently. What a great lead-in for the South Aussie veteran.
Yeah, absolutely. Green is probably one of the most experienced guys in the field tonight. As we see McFadden, he did a great job to qualify in the top 4, but every competitor gets 2 laps only to go flat out and do the best time they can.
American Kyle Hurst on screen was able to time in with 5th quickest. You'll notice the lap on the right-hand side of our table just there. Dylan was quicker on his 2nd lap, so was McFadden, so was Jones, Bowie, Pitt and Pesca. Great result for Luke Bowie, also Hayden Pitt and Daniel Pesca, a couple of the rising South Aussie youngsters. Robbie Farr here, busy on a very slick racetrack.
Absolutely. Great to watch Robbie Farr in these qualifying sessions. As we see Stephen Lyons, we would have thought he'd be a bit further up. He only timed in 18th position. He'd be pretty disappointed with that.
Absolutely. You can see him using every square centimetre of this racetrack in that Bridgestone Tyre Centre, Albany, number 3 KPC. Nick Lacey too had dramas, backed into the wall, just nudged it, but it cost him enormous time in terms of his momentum. And in sprint car racing, momentum is key.
You need to keep the momentum up. You need to keep the car flowing. As we see Ricky Amo, a big tag on the wall there on the exit of turn 2. Didn't do any damage, but it slowed him up.
Yeah, and Todd Waddell too. Problems here in that number 53 car out of the west. Actually put the car on the infield, had to run 1 lap at the end. There were no bigger complications than this one though. Jack Lee, known as the General, inverted the number 66 drainage systems car. Mark Mozzie House too had his hands full with the racetrack. They timed in later and later. Track became progressively more slippery and harder to get hold of. Look at Sean Bradford. He's on what we call a dry, slick racetrack right now, Jack. It's extremely hard to keep your car speed up. Spare a thought for 17-year-old rookie Jake Tranter in the same situation.
It's so tough when the track's really slick like that. Unfortunately, these guys didn't get the best end of the conditions, but it changes every week.
Trent Pigden from Western Australia, one of the final cars out there, but well done, Trevor Green.
Awesome to see Trevor Green get quick time. He's one of the most experienced drivers here tonight, and no better way to start the evening than by having the quickest car in the field.
So here's your points after that qualifying run. Trevor Green sitting on top. Luke Dillon, fellow South Aussie, and 2, Brad Keller, the SA boys, doing very well. Defending champ McFadden is 4th quickest. If you didn't time trial well, let's use Tim Kading and Stephen Lyons as an example, you are really going to struggle throughout the night. It's all going on here at Adelaide. Let's go to the pits.
Well, it didn't take long for ENZED World Series to claim its first top wing, and it happened in time trials. The Glenoria Racing number 66 of Jack Lead, the 19-year-old guy himself. And Jack, not quite the way you want to go starting off your World Series campaign here in Adelaide this weekend. Tell us what happened.
Oh, Chad, we just got too high and made a mistake. That was about all. So, yeah, it was my behalf, and, yeah, just made a mistake.
Now, what happens, talk us through between now and the heats, what the team has to do to get the car on the track.
Yeah, so we've got to put a new front end in it, 2 new wings, and rear end wasn't too bad. So a little bit of damage, fix that up, and hopefully get back out for the next heat race.
How badly does this eat into the spares?
A little bit, not too bad. It's only a front end, so we got out of it pretty good compared to how hard of a hit it was.
It is a little bit worst case scenario for you now because it means that you're off the back of the heats. How do you attack the heats from here?
Of course, we just try and pass as many cars as we can. It's obviously a difficult racetrack, so it's not going to be easy, but we'll have a crack and just see what we can do.
All right, well, you can see at the front, we're banging in the front wing now, working on that new front end as well. The clock is ticking for these guys to get out for that first heat race. That's coming up after the break.
Time now for a look at the highlights of the heat racing for World Series Sprint Cars, a very important part of the program after qualifying. Mark Mozzie House on the front row alongside Ricky Mayolo, South Australian, who was a full-time driver for the last 2 seasons with World Series Sprint Cars, has come off the road and unfortunately had an early Barbie TRG transport car caught on fire. Ricky was okay, which was the good news. Sean Bradford and Phil March, a couple of the hardest peddlers in the game of sprint car racing. And how about Trevor Green, Jack, having a great result? Quick time tonight.
Yeah, it's good to see the local hero get the quick time in time trials earlier. And this is the first of 6 heats as we see Mark House take the win in heat number 1.
Yeah, the cattle farmer. Have a look at that. He always thanks all the team members, and of course the cows get a mention as well. Nick Lacey in heat number 2 alongside Taylor Milling and Luke Dillon. How frantic back in the field here. There was trouble though when you get this many cars together. Sometimes this is what happens. Leith Alfor is like a pinball out there getting smashed from pillar to post. The budget racer out of Gawler in South Australia, the lacquer contractors, number 61, unfortunately getting towed off. Shane Stewart looking to be in some pretty good touch in the monster car. Just out in front, Nick Lacey. His dad was a gun around this place in the Beretta. And this guy here knows his way around the racetrack as well. Luke Dillon, I think he was born here.
He was. It's good to see the local guys coming through from the rear, but it was good to see Nick Lacey take the win in the V26.
Video Easy car did it easy, unfortunately off the front. Heat number 3 saw Steve Corn and Jason Johnson going at it. The American running a limited schedule this year, basically the month of January, and it turned pear-shaped then when unfortunately Corn slowed for a restart situation in front. Unfortunately, Johnson was too close behind and couldn't get off the gas in time. That was the problem that Corn saw that nobody else did.
It's very tough to see that. It's when sometimes as a driver, the car props up in front of you, you're committed 10-10s, and unfortunately Jason Johnson got caught out. But that's Steve Lyon blowing around the outside of all those cars there. Awesome to watch this guy. He loves racing around the top.
You talk about committed 10-10ths, that's exactly what Stephen Lyons is. There's your points after round 1 of the heats, and Trevor Green doing a great job. Likewise, Luke Dillon, James McFadden, the defending champion, lurking there in 3rd. But there's damage and there's stuff to be fixed. Chad Nailon is in the pits finding out who's doing what.
Well, if there's one thing you need a lot of in Speed Week, it's spare parts. And this is, well, an entire spare race car ready to go. It's a Maxim chassis for Jason Johnson. He's up here working on his Terroros at the minute after that first round of heats. And it was, well, it was a bit of a dicey one. Thankfully, won't be needing to go to the spare car. Nearly did. Jace, you got very caught up there with Steve Corn, and then it was absolute drama.
Yeah, the red flag come out or whatever, and the leader just got off the pace and got into the back of him.
So in that situation, the team were very, very quick to come out with the spare right front in that case, but obviously it sent you to the rear and then you had to work even harder.
Yeah, it definitely don't set a good night, for the start. We didn't qualify well. That's why we went in front of the heat race. And, you got to make those heat races count. You got to run in the top one or top two of these heat races when you qualify real bad. So we didn't do that. And, we got to have our work cut out in the next heat.
You're no stranger to Adelaide. How can you resurrect the night from here?
All we can do is just keep trying our best. That's all we can do. We've been working on this Maxim chassis all night long, and we're getting it better as the night goes on. So just got to keep our nose clean, stay out of trouble, and hope for a little bit better heat race.
Good luck for the rest of the night, mate.
Thank you.
Yeah, that won't faze Jason Johnson. Second round of heats right now. Mark House and Chad Eli, another one of the rising South Australian stars in that Fuchs car. Trent Pigden getting used to the smaller racetracks in that number 19. 17-year-old Jake Tranter running with him as well. Good to see House starting to adapt as well, and West Aussie Taylor Milling. So many new faces this year, Jack.
There is a lot of new faces. Taylor Milling takes out the heat. He's teammate to last year's champion, James McFadden.
Heat number 5. Wow, you can really use all the racetrack here at Speedway City tonight, and unfortunately, Ricky Maiolo used up more than his quota, hooked a rut and rode out a big one in this TRG transport car. Remember, he caught on fire in his previous heat. Some days you should just never get out of bed, Jack.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a shame for him because he's having a good night. It looked like he had a bit of speed, but unfortunately, it's a bad way for him to start the championship.
Live wire West Aussie Sean Bradford, always on the gas. Man, this guy is fast. Good win for him. Philip March back there in second, a man who's done more laps around this place than anybody. Heat number 6, final qualifying heat. 3 wide down the main straight. Stewart throwing it at Cornt. Lacey starting to show some good touch as well.
He is, and Shane Stewart made all his moves in the first corner, as we see. A caution came out for Terry Pitt, and Shane Stewart went on to take the heat win.
Yeah, starting to show some good car speed now in that monster car. Interesting point situation after that 6-heat race format. Trevor Green still leads. What a great job for the Natrad number 4. McFadden, Farr, Dillon, Bradford, Hurst and Keller and Ryan Jones all in the top 8 shootout. Eagle, Bowie, Lyons, Kading, March, Pesca. They're in the A main already, but the guys highlighted in red, they've got the B main, the last chance qualifier to run.
Points leader so far in the S4 Natrad car is Trevor Green. So far, so good, mate.
Yeah, so far so good. We timed pretty good and we've been not too bad in our heats. It's a bit of a tricky track out there. It's pretty rough and we actually had a couple grooves in that last heat, so we had a good race with Fari and we ended up on top of the points.
Seems like every time you're on the track tonight, you seem to be in some pretty stacked up heats.
I think every heat stacked up heat. So we've just been on a bit of a tour on the East Coast and there's 40, 50 cars everywhere we've been. So there's no easy racing anymore here in Australia. Everyone's stepped up their game tenfold and it's pretty exciting.
It's always nice going into the shootout where you're currently sitting.
Yeah, for sure. It all means really nothing until the main event. That's when all the money's on the line. But you got to try and get yourself in the right position. And I think we got the Natrad car in a pretty good spot. Feeling very comfortable in the car over the last month and a half. And I think going to Brisbane and running these tyres up there certainly helped us have a bit of a feel for them. And we're feeling pretty good. So hopefully we can get the right combination for the feature and get this car home.
We'll grab a quick pit stop here on ENZED World Series Sprint Cars, presented by Hog's Breath Cafe. When we come back, we're going to meet Luke Dillon and check out the top 8 shootouts.
Luke Dillon, it's great to be here at your family home in the hills of Adelaide. It's an amazing view and it's so peaceful and quiet. It's a long way from a speedway track.
Yeah, that's right. It's really relaxing up here. It's it's a good spot to be. Every time my dad thinks of selling it, we sort of say you're mad. So.
Okay, I have to start by asking, how did you get involved in sprint car racing?
Well, my dad used to race speed cars or midgets back when I was younger. And then, we used to go to the Speedway and watch him all the time. And, I always liked the sprint cars. I used to race Formula 500s and a few lead-up stuff. But you're not really happy if you're racing Speedway and not racing sprint cars. So it was always a goal of mine.
Do you remember the feeling that first time that you jumped in a sprint car?
Yeah, it wasn't unexpected. Like, I'd watched them so much and so intensely before I raced them. I knew what it was going to be like, but it's powerful. So that was the first thing I felt, and it never really goes away.
Do you ever scare yourself?
The anticipation of crashing, like when you go in too high up against the wall and you breathe in a bit, I suppose that's the scariest moment. But the actual crashing, it's not that scary.
You've raced so much around South Australia and you've achieved so much. What's one of the highlights from your career so far?
Lately, one of the biggest career highlights was the George Tatnall Cup in Adelaide. You know, Brooke was racing and in the cricket car, and I won that one, and Brooke come second, Dave Murcott ran third. So, you know, that was a real big race for me. I beat some pretty serious competition.
World Series, it's such a tough gig, especially Speed Week, 5 nights of racing in 7. How do you as a smaller family operation prepare for that?
There's a lot of planning involved. Like, we don't have any professional crew or anything on our team. So, you know, we got a few different crew people each night. Like my friend Todd's going to crew for me, but last night he was racing in a wingless car. And, you know, my other crewman, Ross, had to go to work today. And there's a lot of planning, and it's not perfect, but it's how our team is. So, you know, we just plan and do it.
You recently became a father, gorgeous Taylor. Has fatherhood changed your approach to racing at all?
It hasn't really affected it. You know, it's affected other parts of our life. You know, like we'd stay home instead of going out, and you know, got other things to talk about and different things we enjoy doing.
Your wife Candice has, I think, brought Taylor to the track already for a few times, so she's going to be a Speedway fan, no doubt. But your family in general is such a big support to you.
Yeah, that's right. You know, it's always been a family sport. It keeps our family together. You know, my younger brother Lee's on my pit crew, and I think he does a better job than most of the paid crewmen. So that's a big asset to us. And you know, Lee's girlfriend Jodie's there, and you know, it's a very good, healthy family thing. It, you know, keeps your family together. And a lot of other teams do that as well. Like, you know, like you see the Reedy family there and a few others. Yeah. So.
Well, Luke, I've brought you a lovely bottle of Amadio Cab Sav. Before we open this, though, I have to ask, who would you most like to share a glass of wine with?
Probably just my wife, Candice. You know, she don't get to drink wine much anymore, so she'd probably enjoy it.
Well, I noticed some preparation going on out the back. Before we leave, do you mind if we have a look at the workshop?
No problems, let's do it.
Great. So, look, this is what your mum refers to as the toy box. I can see why.
Yeah, there's lots of toys here, obviously. We've got a toy car and some toy go-karts and a bunch of other stuff to assist with toys.
Fantastic workshop, built specially for the racing?
Well, it's more intended for the truck business, but the trucks aren't really allowed in here, so it's become a race shop.
Well, it looks like the crew are busy getting ready for the hometown race tonight, Speedway City. We wish you all the best, and thanks for having a chat.
Thanks very much.
So it's time for the Vortex Wings Top 8 shootout right now. These are points 8th, 7th, 6th and 5th drivers for the night so far. They're all going to do 3 laps against the time clock. You must be the fastest 2 in this group if you're going to go forward. The slowest 2 will go off the racetrack, and they'll start from position 8 and position 7 in tonight's A main. Brad Keller standing up in the seat tonight. What a result for this young South Aussie. He's joined by American Kyle Hurst, West Aussie Sean Bradford, and Adelaide hard charger Ryan Jones. So Jack, foot to the floor, you don't lift here.
This is a great concept. It's a combination of a V8 supercar top 10 shootout, a push bike pursuit, and it's a knockout formula. You've got to be the fastest man on track to enable you to get through to the silver shootout.
Ryan Jones looking pretty fast there. He's on screen right now. The Murray Machining and Sheds, number 63. The engine provided to him by Darryl Wright, a handy Murray Bridge racer from a couple of seasons back. Ryan is a gassing racer, a triple Australian 360 cubic inch champion. Brad Keller looking pretty fast though, and so is Kyle Hurst. So Brad Keller and Kyle Hurst will go through. Sean Bradford and Ryan Jones don't. That'll ensure Jones starts position number 8 and Brad Keller for position 7. Silver shootout time now. Luke Dillon rolling out in that number 81 car, having a very stout night so far. Can he get into the fastest 2? There is Keller trying to advance from position 8. So far he's on target.
He is. It's good to see local Luke Dillon in this shootout. You need to be going as fast as you can. The track conditions might have changed from the heats. The sun's definitely gone down now, so you've got to be trying to work out what works best for you with the way the car's set up.
Just watching on screen, Kyle Hurst, the Californian in that number 99 car. The Roos brothers providing him a great opportunity to drive this ART chassis. He's got a busy month ahead of him. He's racing at the Warrnambool Classic as well as other selected World Series rounds. He's a gasser, this man, no doubt about it. Who is going to be the fastest 2? Robbie Farr is out there as well. There he is on screen. The defending, well, not defending, he won World Series Sprintcars 2 seasons ago. Remarkable talent. Over 25 years now, he's been punting sprint cars around.
These experienced guys are great to watch as we cross through now. Looks like Luke Dillon and Robbie Farr have made it through to the gold shootout. Bradley Keller and Kyle Hurst will start 5th and 6th.
Yeah, so Hurst outside 3rd row as we get set now for the gold shootout. This is for pole position. The Vortex Race Products top 8 shootout is now down to the gold. Whoever is fastest here is on pole, and they get lane choice for the feature race. Ooh, James McFadden, he's in these things a lot. He's very good at this concept. Robbie Farr, Luke Dillon, James McFadden, and Trevor Green joining in this. So the order in which they time trial here is the order in which they'll start the first 4 positions of tonight's A main.
Luke Dillon here in the 81, so he was quickest in the Silver's part of the shootout, so he knows the track conditions, whereas James McFadden and Trevor Green, they've just joined in, they're flying blind.
Robbie Farr, the East Coast Pipeline number 7, would love pole position here. White flag is out. Dillon absolutely hammering. Robbie Farr looks quickest so far in that number 7. Dillon trying to chase him. Who's going to be on the front row? Who's going to get pole? We're about to find out. Dillon crosses the line and he will be 2nd. Robbie Farr is on pole and Green will hold on to position 4. McFadden from 3. There's your pole sitter, Robbie Farr.
Hey, all this hype of the young kids coming in this weekend, but it's Robbie Farr who's going to start off the front row tonight. Hey, Robbie, top out shootout, and that was pretty quick.
Yeah, it's we're fully pegged the whole lap, or all 4 laps, and yeah, it's quickest I think we've been around here, and just to that track grade and stuff, bit of water, it changed it. It'll slow up a little bit, but I think it's going to stay pretty quick throughout the A main. Not as quick as the shootout, but it'll stay there now. You can see through that dash. Sorry, the B main, it didn't really deteriorate a whole lot, so we'll see.
What are the variables going into this last race of the night?
Lane choice and lap traffic. Obviously car setup's a massive thing. You've got to do the right thing with the car. But we think we're close. We're gonna tighten up a little bit, which we're a little bit tight in that dash. But it's 35 laps, so you've got to be good at the end, not at the start, and just deal with it early. I think so. That's our plan: is tighten up a little bit. You've got a full fuel load, so where you got your wings going to be important. But lap traffic, you can see in that B main that lap traffic played a big part. 20 cars, we'll get into that pretty quick.
Can you afford to run it a bit tighter when you're starting off the front?
Well, we're banking on a few laps early that we should be on clear track. You don't want to be still too tight when you get to lap traffic, but end of the day, he's no use being good at the start and bad at the end. So the feature race pays in the last lap, not the first one.
Well, he's the quickest man tonight in the shootout, and he'll be starting out of position number 1. Good luck, Robbie.
Cheers, mate. Thank you.
Yeah, he's in good touch already, Jack Perkins. Watch out for Robbie Farr.
He's great to watch, one of the legends of this game. Stick around, we've got the B main after the break.
And so it's time for the B main. Hog's Breath Cafe B main, your last chance qualifier. And the racetrack is pretty angry, Jack Perkins.
It is. It always is here at Speedway City in Adelaide. This is the last chance for 6 competitors to get through to the all-important show, the feature, the A main.
Rising West Aussie star Trent Pigden on screen. South Aussie youngster Terry Pitt on the outside of seasoned American veteran Shane Stewart. Going to be some wild old moves here, Jack.
There is, as we see Pigden there in the 19 car. He's loose through the first 2 corners. Now into 3 and 4, he's still loose.
All over the racetrack. Pitt too got a heap of drive off the bottom. Stewart searching to the top. Man, he's got some laps under his belt. How about Johnson in the B main?
Some big names in the B main with Jason Johnson, of course, and also in the monster car, Shane Stewart. We'd expect those guys to be straight in the A main.
Trent Pigden having his very first World Series Sprintcars event as a contracted driver. He ran over in the West with us last year. Johnson picking up the left front. Here is Steve Cornt, another of the World Series Sprintcars full-time rookies this season.
As we see Pigden around the outside of Jason Johnson. His car looks like a handful tonight, Wade.
Oh, look, they're all very, very busy. Look at Dobson. Sean Dobson, the Tasmanian, driving the Downing Brothers car out of Adelaide. That thing is a rocket on the top or the bottom.
He's passing cars left, right and centre. He started a fair way back and he's already moved away through the field.
Very busy indeed. Here is Shane Stewart, the Monster Energy Milwaukee Power Tools car, just running a touch on the infield as he comes after Nick Lacey, trying to work the lap cars out of the equation now. Stewart trying to get himself into the show. Regardless if he wins this, he's still going to start back on like the 8th row in tonight's main event.
He is, and that monster car always looks awesome. The Monty Motorsports team do a terrific job preparing that car, and they'll want to get through to the A-main and try to do a great job there tonight.
Mark Mozzie House from Forest in Tasmania, one of the World Series Sprint Cars rookies. Just see some really frantic lap traffic to deal with here. That's Hendry in the Mother Energy car, and that's rising West Aussie star Todd Waddell, and Stewart just goes through the middle, as you do.
As you do, and one thing, the difference between sprint cars and bitumen racing cars is you don't have rear vision mirrors, so the lap traffic can't see the leader coming through, which makes it very difficult for Shane Stewart to carve his way through the lappers.
And let's face it, those guys are having their own race, so Jack, they don't want to get out of the way. This is now putting Waddell a lap down. This American who was born in Bixby, Oklahoma, now lives in Indianapolis, Indiana, as you do, Jack.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of Americans come out and race the sprint car summer here in Australia. They always do a great job and they're impressive to watch. We saw Shane Stewart take over this car from Steve Lyons last year, and he did a great job winning some races towards the end of the season, and they're trying to pick up from where they left off and have a good start to the season this year.
This J&J chassis carving its way through. Buzzy Buswell, the crew chief on this number 7. The Monty Motorsports team, what an operation. They run a car out of Western Australia. They run one in Queensland with Donny Schatz, and this one full-time on the road. Massive resources. And Luch Monty, an amazing man who puts an enormous amount into the sport. Stewart really rocking at the moment. There is Todd Waddell. We almost lost him to drag racing a couple of years ago.
That's a bit of a contrast, drag racing to sprint cars, but it's good to see him back here tonight at Speedway City, carving through the field.
Stephen Webber there. One of the cars about to go a lap down. This is Leith Alfors off to the left. In the lacquer contracting, number 61, Jason Johnson. Both Jason Johnson and Shane Stewart are fine exponents of the 360 cubic inch sprint car scene.
That's right, we're running the 410 cubic inch tonight as we see Shane Stewart take the checkered flag.
Good job, the Americans run 1 and 2. Dobson comes from about position 15 to get third. Massive result, those 6 cars locking into tonight's A-main.
Success story from the B main has to be Sean Dobson, starting way back in the field, absolutely motoring up to third. Tell us about that drive.
Yeah, look, mate, it was it's definitely, we didn't have the start of the night we needed, but obviously we had a good race car then, and just like to thank the boys. I mean, we struggled from the start of the night, and I can't thank them enough. They gave me a good race car, and I got the job done now. That's not the main one, but hopefully we can move up in the final as well.
You've been buzzing the tyres out of 2 and 4 all night. What have you done to make the car tighter?
Yeah, look, obviously I haven't been in the race car for a few weeks, so obviously it was probably half my fault, half of the car. We couldn't get it right, so obviously we just moved the right rear in a little bit and changed a couple of bars and a few shocks, and hopefully this will get the job done for the feature race.
When you come from a B main where you've passed pretty much near the entire field, does that give you a real confidence boost going to the A?
Yeah, I mean, definitely. Obviously, it's good to pass a lot of race cars, and you know you're quick enough to do it. So obviously these guys in the feature race haven't done just have like just obviously sat and watched this race, so they know what it's all about now. But I mean, if we can just finish this feature race, it's going to be a good night for us, because we had a pretty tough night to start with.
Well, it was a bit of a you went into conservation mode and just trying to retrieve something from the night.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we didn't make the inversion at the start of the night, so we pretty much just had to go in the heat races and just finish. And obviously, it wasn't ideal starting off the back, but hey, it's racing, and you have your ups and downs. But it's definitely been one of those nights where you got it all in one night.
Hey, if you miss the inversion and still make the show, you're doing well.
Yeah, exactly right, and that's probably where we've been good tonight. So the boys have been good. They give me a good race car, and got changes done that we needed, and hopefully go for this feature race and pass some cars.
Good luck, mate.
Thanks, mate.
So for Sean Dobson, the challenge still lies ahead. Unfortunately, not for Tasmanian Mark House.
Mark, not the World Series debut you're hoping for. Tell us what happened in the B main tonight.
Car was a little bit tight, and yeah, I guess I just didn't drive it right, probably. But yeah, anyway, you live and learn.
Is it going to be painful sitting and watching this A here?
Yeah, it's not my goal was to make as many A's, like just to make the A's and see what happens from there. But oh well, tomorrow night's another night, I suppose.
What can you learn from this?
I don't know, he's got a time trial better. I stuffed up my time trial, and that's what it all comes down to. You're behind the 8 ball once the time trial bad, he's playing catch up all night, and ideally you want to go straight in the A. So but anyway, we're on a steep learning curve, and hopefully we learn from it.
Have you had a chat to Rocky, your crew chief, yet about what you can do next time to, you know, hopefully make it through the B?
Not as yet, but we'll catch up shortly and we'll go through a few things.
Did you realise when you're out there how bad it was getting? Because you were in there for a little bit, you looked like you were going to make the transfer and it just slipped out of reach.
Yeah, I just sort of got swamped there at the end. I hit a few ruts and unsealed the car a bit, and then got past, and that was it. Yeah.
Well, Mark House disappointed to be missing the show tonight. Unlucky, man.
Thanks, man.
A clearly devastated Mark House is going to miss the big dance. We're not, though. We're going to take a break and come back with the all-important A Main here at Speedway City for Hog's Breath Cafe and NZ. And so it's round one of the NZ World Series Sprintcars, presented by Hog's Breath Cafe. That man on screen, ooh, very danger. Anytime he lines up anywhere in an A-main field, you can expect James McFadden to be going forward. I like this man, Kyle Hurst. And this guy here, Luke Dillon, the hometown hero on the front row, Jack Perkins. He's got the crowd well and truly supporting him tonight.
Yeah, great crowd in tonight. It's good to watch these starts. We've got Jason Johnson on screen. They're all getting ready for this all-important A-main.
Johnson will start from the 8th row of the grid. Robbie Farr starts on pole. The East Coast Pipeline, number 7. Great result for him. Dillon alongside him. J-Mac and Trevor Green, another South Australian legend. Brad Keller. What a great job from Brad Keller standing up in the saddle today. Kyle Hurst, Sean Bradford, Ryan Jones, Matt Eagle, Luke Bowie. I tell you what, South Australian sprint car racing in very good shape. Crowd rising to their feet. Even Gumby is there by the looks of things. Down the bottom, going off. 4 wide salute. There is nothing, and I say nothing in the world of motorsport, Jack Perkins, that prepares you for moments like this.
No, there isn't. This is a great part of Speedway. I love it when summer rolls around because not only do we get to the beach, but we also get to watch sprint car racing. This is the first race of the season. I can't wait to watch the run to the first corner.
35 laps ahead of us, 10 grand on the line. Dillon, a superb start into turn 1. Oh, how wide was Robbie Farr and Sean Bradford on the back wheels. Keller, along with Trevor Green, the South Aussie veteran. Oh, Hurst washes up. Bradford through the middle. We're expecting frantic stuff, and we've got it right here.
Absolutely. Nothing be harder than what they're doing here as we see Pesca and Jason Johnson fighting it out. These guys haven't been on the track for half an hour or so since we've watched the B main, and they don't know what the track conditions are like. They're busy searching for grip, trying to make the most of what they can.
Cars are cumbersome at this moment. They're absolutely full of fuel. The setup for the race hasn't really come on for them, so they really have to manhandle these things around till they burn off some fuel load and start to get back to their setup. Look at Dillon on a mission out in front, already into the lap traffic.
Unbelievable. He's already on the back of Caruso, ready to put a lap on him. And Caruso's already in his own race. And as we said before, there's no mirrors here, so he's got to work his way around the outside of Caruso.
And I think he did that fairly well around the outside. Now coming up to the most celebrated South Australian sprint car driver in the game in red. There's cars upside down here, and it's Ryan Jones. This Murray Machining and Sheds car, you see March saw it coming. Wow, how lucky was Dobson not to roll over that 97 car, and Jones, unfortunately, up against the wall. And fortunately, he's okay. It's the one thing about sprint car racing. We take some big licks, Jack, but they're tremendously safe inside these cars.
Absolutely. All the cars have got the same setup with the roll hoops and things. They're well protected with the top wing above them. We didn't quite see how Jones ended up on his roof, but it looks like he's safe as we get ready for a restart.
Injectorsonline.com restart. Away we go. Dillon to lead away from Robbie Farr. From James McFadden in that third spot. Brad Keller. What a superb result from South Australian Brad Keller. Unbelievable for him right now. Hurst under some pressure from Bradford. Stephen Lyons on a mission now too, Jack.
This is one guy I love watching, Steve Lyons. He loves making the top end of the racetrack work as he's searching for a way to pass the two in front.
Geez, Kyle Hurst stormed through on the inside of Sean Bradford. Look at Dillon. The action line marking. Hog's Breath Cafe number 81 out in front. He ran with the series on 2 occasions previous. Come back full-time this year, really stamping his authority. Look at Bradford. Nothing unusual about that. Sean Bradford on the back wheels.
It's great to watch the cars wheel stand like that. It's not something you see with 4-wheel racing. You're used to seeing it on 2 wheels, but these guys got so much power, and when the grip in the back tyre works, the front wheels come off the ground.
Robbie Farr just ahead of James McFadden. Dobson coming forward as well. There was Shane Stewart. Both those guys had to come from the last chance qualifying B main. McFadden can't do much with Robbie Farr. Standing room only crowd here at Speedway City. They love their Boxing Day Speedway. McFadden in the cool. That's a chassis built out of Warrnambool in Victoria by a man named John Cooley, chasing an American chassis. Robbie Farr's Maxim Wow, look at the distortion in the right rear tyre then, Jack.
It's incredible as we see a lot of smoke pouring out of that car there. We go back to Luke Dillon. Great to watch locals performing well in front of their home crowd.
American Kyle Hurst in some trouble. Phil March, that is Hurst. This car based out of Broken Hill. The high race 24-hour towing Bruce Brothers entry. We're working lap number 18. This guy out of California, along with Tim Kading, a couple of superstars out of the West Coast. Now he pulls the car infield problems, obviously dropping some oil situation there. And a little bit of fire as well as we go caution here. Oh, you never like to see your motor covered in that stuff.
No, you don't. It looked like for a while there the oil leak wasn't causing him too much drama. Once a little bit of oil drops on the exhaust pipes, a lot of smoke can come, but it looks like it has ended his night.
He's a hell of a racer, Kyle Hurst. Look at James McFadden just playing with the throttle. What is not to love about sprint cars? Look at the front wing damage. Wow, Luke Dillon. And McFadden's got a flat right rear tyre. Drama here at Speedway City. It's over. We can't just nip into the pits like supercars, Jack, and change it.
No, you can't. He's pulled into the infield, James. It's a shame to see last year's champion out with a right rear puncture. He looked to have great pace, but it looks like Dillon out in front's got a bit of front wing damage, so it'll be interesting to see what happens here.
Yeah, that tyre absolutely off the rim just then. And you just saw a restart situation. James looked like he was a little uncomfortable. He gassed it up. You could feel there was something wrong with the car. Look at Keller. Brad Keller looking for a career best podium finish, coming after Robbie Farr like, I don't care who you are, you're in front of me and I want you behind.
Robbie Farr is one of the most experienced guys out there tonight. He's a legend, and it's great to see some of the younger guys mixing it in.
Trevor Green, have a look at the Green Man and that Nat Rad number 4 coming after Brad Keller. He lives about a tennis ball's throw from this speedway in 2 wells. Now you've got lines as well. You know what we're looking down the barrel of here? We're looking down the barrel of an all-South Australian podium. This is unheard of. Lines goes by Green. Oh, I love this sport. Check this out, Jack.
Yeah, this is awesome stuff. So we see now a lot of the cars searching high and low on the racetrack, looking for the best amount of grip that they can. You see the colour change. There's a little bit more rubber up there. If you're keen to get up there and try and get close to the fence, you might get a bit more lap speed.
Keller in the Faction Cartage Contractors number 19. One of the rising stars out of South Australia. This man, one of the best in the world. Jason Johnson, the Dean's Autoglass, HM Racing Maxim, running the cush. Car getting a bit unsettled, and Bradford coming after him.
Track looks a little bit rough as they run through the centre of the quarter, and what happens is it makes the car buck front to rear, and it makes it very difficult to drive, especially when you've got so much horsepower at disposal of your right foot.
Just watching Tim Kading coming on now, the Californian up against the West Aussie and Sean Bradford. Robbie Farr glued down at the moment in that podium spot, but Keller coming after him. He's a battle-hardened soldier, this man. Been racing for 25 years. We see Luke Bowie in the Gawler Car World, number 55, and Steve Caruso in the 10. What's remarkable about this front wing, the post is actually speared through the centre panel of the front wing. It's actually holding that front wing on. Luke's a very lucky man right now.
He is, and the front wing is normally a very big tuning tool around this circuit. It helps the front grip, and it looks like it hasn't affected his performance because he's still running very, very strongly. As we see, Green looks like he's got a problem and he's slowing down.
Oh, that's just brutal for Trevor Green. He was honking in that NatRad number 4. So it's Dillon to lead away. Your injectorsonline.com restart. Luke Dillon from Robbie Farr, from Brad Keller, from Stephen Lyons. 3 of the top 4 are South Aussies, and this Adelaide crowd is loving it, JP.
They absolutely are. Nothing better than cheering on the hometown. As we see a big move here up the inside of Robbie Farr. He's moved into second. Great job.
Keller, what a drive from Brad Keller. Now Lyons is thinking, I like the look of that tail tank of the 7. I might just have a piece of that. Dobson. How busy is Dobson through the inside? Oh! Kading takes a huge ride. Well, Dobson went for a big lunge through the middle around Bradford. He caught the left front of Kading, and the Cricky Motorsports Toyota Genuine Parts Cool is anything but.
That's a shame. That's a big crash. Whenever the front axle's missing from the car, it's pretty big, and he's got out of the car. That's great to see. A testament to the safety of these cars.
Look at the eyes inside that helmet. That is one very unhappy man, and the eyes are searching around. Wow. That was just a big, big ride. And, he's filthy. Here's a look at it again. Dobson through the middle. Oh, he just nailed the left front of Kading and sent him on a ride.
It's one of those cases where 3 into 1 didn't really work, and unfortunately Tim Kading's come worse off. and the Cricky Motorsport boys have got a big job to fix that for tomorrow night's round 2.
Man, that thing looks like a modern art sculpture standing up like that, doesn't it? That is so devastating for the Cricky Motorsport team, and Kading is absolutely as hot as the motor in that car right now. They're dragging bits and pieces off the racetrack. The once pristine Cricky car. There he is with Kyle Hurst and James McFadden. Geez, some talent there. I think the body language says it all on Tim.
Yeah, pretty disappointing when you're standing there watching the rest of the race that you should be in. Those guys will come bouncing back for the rest of the championship.
So watching Stephen Lyons now about to put the pressure on Robbie Farr, and Keller's going to have a crack at Luke Dillon. They're actually family friends, these guys. That will mean little in the scheme of it. Dillon is just on the pin. His younger brother Lee sets this car up. His dad Gary, one of the legends of speed car racing in this state. And the South Aussie boys, now Lyons is into third. Wow, SA top 3, the place will be going off, Jack.
It will be. They won't be able to get out of here tonight. It'll be a massive party if there's 3 Adelaide boys on the top podium. But let me say, he's hung in really well with this broken front wing. It wouldn't be handling as nice as he wanted to start with. But one thing that's impressed me tonight about Luke Dillon is his restarts. He's been the first to the first corner every time, got himself a nice gap, and that helps set up the win.
What a drive from this man, a career first. Main event victory is looming for Luke Dillon. Dobson still on a mission, coming after Lyons now. Farr is just up ahead as well. So what a battle between these guys. Dobson diving up the inside on Lyons. That's a South Australian car as well.
And what's most impressive about Dobson in his 97 machine is he come from the B main, so he had to come from the back, and now he's fighting for a top 5 position.
Bradford with damage, battling with Shane Stewart, but they're not going to catch this man on screen. Luke Dillon, first ever main event win in World Series. He does the job. Well done, Brad Keller in second, and Lyons will come on to score third. It's an all-South Australian podium. That is remarkable. Dillon soaking up the moment. What a drive from this second-generation racer. He is amped.
Nothing better than getting your first win, especially in front of your home crowd. That would be an awesome feeling.
Luke Dillon, he did everything he needed to get the job done. Tremendous drive.
Off the top of the wing, plenty of hand slapping going on. He leads home a complete South Aussie whitewash. Yeah. That is how you kick off NZ World Series.
Yeah, absolutely. I felt fast all night. I had a lousy time trial draw and made most of it. And I saw that front wing fall down and I had to move my top wing forward. So I reckon I was down a couple of tenths, but I wasn't going to lose it.
Talk us through how you got your way through the traffic tonight. You seem to get a little bit lucky the way the cautions ended up working out. You'd get to the traffic and then the cautions would come out.
Yeah, I just had to keep my head, to be just as hard for the next car. Sometimes lap cars get out the way, sometimes they follow you and within seconds worse. So I wasn't too worried. I just, if I lost it because of bad situation in traffic, I wouldn't have been down on myself. I wasn't choking or anything.
I can tell you, Luke, this South Aussie crowd's pretty happy to see you out in front right now.
Yeah, I'm pretty happy as well.
Well done, man.
Thank you.
Yeah, very sweaty but very satisfied Luke Dillon. Brad Keller second, Lyons third, Robbie Farr faded to fourth. Dobson got fifth. What a charge from him. Johnson, Stewart, Bradford, Pesca and Eagle rounding out your top 10. And there's the hard luck stories. Trevor Green, James McFadden, Kyle Hurst, Ryan Jones, Tim Kading. Wow, a lot of guys very disappointed. Let's go back to Chad Nolan with someone who's very happy.
Some massive, massive names at World Speedway here tonight, and Brad Keller taking his car to second place tonight. How does that feel?
Oh, look, it's great. This is a real good time to come out during the year and just see where you're really at. The best in the world are pretty much here, and it's a real good race to gauge yourself off to see how you're getting on, and we're all proud to come up here and run second.
You think it was possible?
Oh, look, mate, we always rock up thinking we're half a chance, but there's so many things that can go wrong and go right, so you just got to take your chances when they come, and sure, we thought it was possible, but when it happens, you're proud as anything, so it's real good.
You ran quick in time trials and you held on to do enough in the heats to get your way through to the shootout. At any point do you think, I'm getting myself in pretty deep here?
And that's the thing, if you can time trial well, it really helps out for a good night's reason, and we timed third and we finished second, so that's a real good result for us, and timing well is really, really important.
3 South Aussie boys on the podium?
Yeah, that's great, my mate Luke won and my mate Lyons, he come third, so it's great, and to do it in the fashion that we did, I'm real proud. We come from 5th and ran up to 2nd, so couldn't be happy for me and my crew.
Awesome job, man, and roll on Murray Bridge.
Yeah, we can't wait. It's sort of a local track for us too, so we've done a few laps around there, and hope to get this KRE Maxim right up the front tomorrow night.
Well, a very happy Luke Dillon. His cheese and kisses Candice there, giving him a victory smooch. Someone else who's got to be very pleased is Stephen Lyons.
A lot of people excited to see this man racing in Speed Week and paying off. In the first night, the third place was Stephen Lyons. Well done, buddy.
Yeah, it was a good result where we come from at the start of the night. I think all the boys worked hard and we end up with a decent car at the end, and it's just really good finishing the podium.
How's the relationship going now between you and the team?
Yeah, very good. Obviously, Brian with Hulls Motorsport been the best back, and I fell on my feet, and he's really given me a good opportunity. And the boys around me, Craig Bennett, one of my good mates, Benny, and my dad, just everyone's really having a lot of fun at the minute, and the success is coming, which is always good, and hopefully we can keep striving forward.
Great way to start the week off. How's the rest of Speedway going to go?
Yeah, hopefully we come here, we just want to finish in the sort of the top 5, and if you put yourself there, you never know what can happen, and hopefully a few more podiums, and maybe we might even be able to grab one if we put ourselves in the right position.
Well done.
Cheers.
That was round 1 at Speedway City. Round 2 of ENZED World Series Sprint Cars, presented by Hog's Breath Cafe, will be at Murray Bridge Speedway, a tight little bull ring. It always gets racy and very busy there. Look forward to your coverage for round 2. We'll see you then.